When would you say that was so wonderful tonight, your performance?
Thank you, yes.
And would you care to expand on that?
Yeah, it was, I'm glad to have this one out of the way and spend a lot more time in the gym working on some new skills.
How tough was it to fight a guy that you considered a friend and that you had, trained with and whatnot?
It's about the same as, any other fight. I never really go into a fight wishing somebody the worst or trying to injure them or, I don't make them out to be my enemy, anything like that. So, it's business, just as Dan would say, business as usual.
And when you came out, you said, you just said you wanted to work on things. What is it that you say now coming out of that you still need to work on to get better?
A little bit of everything. I don't like missing takedowns. That's what I do. I don't like to miss that. I could use a little bit better top control. They had the control that I did in the last couple of fights, and a little bit more stand up, a little bit make myself a little bit more dangerous from standing position.
Phil, can you talk about how this fight played out versus your expectations? I think the casual observer thought this was some kind of walkover fight. I know that obviously you know the legend of Nogueira, but talk about how this fight played out versus your expectations.
I don't know how I really saw the fight going. It's definitely got to be careful with somebody's experience as Nogueira, and just in every position, make sure you give him the respect that he deserves. He's tough in every position, So.
What was the key to finally getting the takedowns? You're struggling very early on. Some people thought maybe Nogueira took the first round. What was the key to finally getting the takedowns after missing it so long early?
Just taking my time, not being anxious to get to the ground. Just settle into my combinations that lead to my takedowns, and just don't be so anxious. I was a little, what do you call that? I don't know, a little excited.
And can you talk about where you expect to go next? You talked a lot about the desire to have time off between fights, how busy you've been, and you really want to focus on learning and getting better. What are your expectations moving forward? Do you want an extended time off? Are you looking to get back to action?
I don't know. Well, I probably should take some time out of a busy last year, and pretty much everyone I've ever fought has had more experience than I have in fighting. So, just going through 4 fights in 1 year in the UFC has put me in a place where everyone is a lot more experienced than I am. So I just need to make sure I'm giving myself enough time to develop as a fighter.
And I know you really want to deflect the John Jones questions coming into this fight, but it's another win. The fans are still saying, Phil Davis is the man to challenge John Jones. How far away is that matchup from where you sit right now?
The man that makes the decisions is not here right now.
If it was next, would you like it?
Listen, if Dana says fight him, I fight him. He says get him, I got him. If he don't say get him, I don't got him.
I like that. Phil, a couple of your takedown attempts early on seemed to be just kind of shook off. Was that technique, or was he a little bit slippery? Was it sweat? What was the issue there?
A little bit of jitters. I got a little too ahead of myself, and I ended up out of position. And you end up out of position. People can do things that wouldn't normally work, and he was just able to use his underhooks and peel me off. So it was just a matter of taking my time and using my hands and my kicks to set up my takedowns and get to the right position in order to stop his defense.
Phil, you kind of mentioned some jitters heading into this fight. What do you think that's attributed to? Just the main event, fighting a guy like Nogueira. Why do you think you were a little hesitant at first?
I think it has mostly what it has to do. It has to do with the fact that there was another man trying to throw punches at my head.
But that's happened before in fights that you've been in the UFC, and you've always came off as a really confident guy, and yet you're talking about jitters. So what was it about Nogueira that made you a little anxious in this fight?
I wouldn't say I was particularly anxious. Just normal. Just the first period or the first round is always a little a little hesitant. Both guys feeling each other out, getting their range down, and seeing the other guy's speed and so on and so forth.
How important do you think that this fight will be in terms of your career and your confidence moving forward? Because this was a big fight for you. It was a main event, your first. Just what did you take from the night that you can now, kind of build into your career?
It's a big one, but it's I don't. What was the question again?
What can you? What are the biggest things you can take from the night that'll help you moving forward?
Just a little bit more confidence going into the next one. It's hard to find someone more seasoned than an Nogueira. So being able to get a win over somebody as experienced as him will definitely give me more experience in the next, give me more confidence going to the next fight.
And John kind of mentioned that you were deflecting questions about John Jones. Are you annoyed at this whole topic that's coming up? I mean, how do you kind of respond to just all the questions about John Jones? You guys are two different people, obviously.
No, I'm not annoyed at all. I like that people bring me up when John Jones comes up. You just have to make sure that you let people know that, how do I say, like, you don't want to try to, I don't want to be living in his, walking in his shadow, I would, then people have the same expectations for me as they have for him. We have different styles. He's his own fighter, and I'm my own. And did I answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I got one more for you.
Go ahead.
It seems like you made a transition in the middle of the fight. You were going for those double leg takedowns, and then you switched to single legs that had a lot more success. Can you just kind of talk about, was that a cognitive thing in your head that you made that switch, or was it just something you saw? Can you just kind of talk about making the switch in the middle of the fight?
Right. When you're out of position, you kind of got to go for a double. Otherwise, if you're out of position on single leg, especially when somebody with as good a hips as Nogueira will come around behind you. So again, I was out of position, and to avoid him from coming around behind me, I had to go for a double leg. And he's good at stopping that. He's very good at stopping that.